Hello everybody, today's video is about finding vocal distortion. If you're somebody that's been struggling to find it, or struggling to find a healthy version of it, or finding it a little bit one day and not the next day, I'm going to try to go over some different ways about trying to discover it, trying to maybe possibly make it better, or just break down what the hell is happening so that you can make some more sense of it. This is specifically for some students of mine, but if you've only come here for the first time or whatever, I hope I can help you too. So let's follow along. Everybody shut up, I'm going to sing stuff.
And I tried so hard to heal this wound, this pain I feel.
So, first we have to talk about, and I'm going to try to make this fast so there isn't so much talking in between, but I am me, so there's going to be some talking. Be prepared. So first we're going to talk about what vocal distortion is and what compression is, because they're kind of similar or kind of the same thing. When we talk about compression, we're talking about a restriction in airflow, and this is key. Because a lot of people that are trying to find this stuff, or students I work with, are not necessarily trying hard enough to find it. What that means is hard enough on a muscular level. They're kind of going about it in a nice, cleaner sounding way, like this, or pushing too hard, and it's actually the more muscular restriction that we need to get into, which could be the reason why you're not finding it or you're having trouble finding it. Or again, you're processing these things in your mind in terms of a lot heavier or louder than you think that they are, so that you're not able to process it like I'm talking about. So when we talk about a restriction of airflow, we're talking about a consistent, regular airflow like I have right now, and then a version of holding that back, whether that be from the vocal cords themselves, from above, or from other spaces in the throat. There's a version of restriction happening. So I have and thereby creating vocal distortion. Or at least, if it's clean, compression. So again, both of those things being kind of shareable there, but a restriction in airflow. And that's key. We're really paying attention to airflow, how little we need, how much we need, or whatever, to create some versions of this stuff that's happening. Now, with my voice right now, you hear me speaking in a very normal way, so you're hearing airflow pushed up against a space and then pushing through that space. In this case, we're talking about vocal folds themselves, which are positioned like this. So we're going to think about them like this. I can set up a wall and not push through those, like that, and hold back all airflow. So then they're going, and they're holding back almost like I was underwater, the room was poisoned, or I didn't want to breathe in, like that, and thereby creating a heavy wall of compression. Then as I push through that wall, again, that can be healthy like this, and there I have the chords vibrate in a nice, concise tone and manner and work accordingly. But either way, first I'm pressing up against that space, and then they're creating a tone for me. As I hold back breath, I'm utilizing more restriction of airflow, more of compression, and I can create vocal distortion from those places. If you were to clear your throat, mouth closed, mouth open, I don't care how you're doing it, or even trying to clear your sinuses, like all this kind of stuff, we are creating vocal distortion. We are creating that from restriction and airflow. We are creating that from compression. All that stuff. All this. If somebody was choking you, that would be a version of vocal compression. Like this. That's vocal distortion. So keep that in mind as we move forward through some of these goofy steps and things that I'm going to try to do to get you to make these sounds. And again, these are sounds at first. This is not just, I made the sound and now I can sing like the guy from the AC/DC. Like, it's not going to work that way. It's going to be making sound, making a little bit more sound that's kind of singy, maybe some vibrato through it, maybe some different tones and notes, and then starting to put words through it, etc. But we're not going to go that far. We're just going to try to make some of these sounds. So again, setting up a wall. So first of all, a lot of people teach it like this. We're going to go from holding back breath. I want you to imagine, do you need support? No. But would I like you to have support? Yeah. But it's not that easy for a lot of students. So I want you to either way imagine that you're building a spring-loaded air tank in here and pushing up against those vocal cords and holding back that breath. So first we're just going to be mindful and imagine that and feel that. If I go and use a forcible exhale with an H, but I really want you to feel that pressure building up against those vocal cords, pushing, trying to be released. Now, again, you can see I'm using my diaphragm, but I can still go, ha, but that's going to be a little bit more tense in my neck and my throat. Either way, ha, feel that pressure and feel that pressure building up against there. That's compression, holding back, restricting airflow. Now, we're going to let a little bit of the airflow go by turning this knob in our mind. Whether you have a knob or not, I don't care. That can go in some weird ways, can't it? Just enough air pressure, just enough that things start to open up. And you can try this heavier or lighter, but either way, we're going to feel that and try to really be mindful of that connection we have to that spring. And right there, you hear me doing vocal fry distortion, which is common throughout most of this singing stuff, or vocal fry screaming, which, you know, fry screaming. Either way, you're hearing my vocal cords start to erratically go like this and make more of a chaotic kind of sound. Now, we can move that around, and we'll get into that. But first, like I said, I want you to start creating this connection to this kind of this physical kind of thing. Again, a lot of people like to teach us like picking up a weight or holding a fucking weight or picking up their desk or whatever, because it's the same thing. I'm preparing my body to engage. God, that sounds so goofy. But we're preparing the body to engage in this kind of act of holding back. Like this. So we're getting vocal distortion from that. Now, along with this, ways that I heard about this and couldn't quite understand when I was trying to learn this stuff, or I'd have it one day and I wouldn't, and then I couldn't create a consistency, is backwards placement, is where your voice is placed. I'm going to make this very short. Your voice can be placed and shooting up in different places of your head. If I go, la, like this, hey guys, what's going on? My voice is shooting straight out of my face like this. So, if I bring that back and I completely become a little bit more natural, almost like I'm starting to say all, I should be able to feel that vibration of my voice up on the hard palate. So I'm more straight up, kind of a little bit bented, but bented, a little bit more Bentley like this, right? So loud. So we have our placement here. As I still keep moving that back, distortion always happens backwards, which is very hard for me to understand at first. So we're going to go with UNG, ENG, EH, and we're going to try to make it very nasal. I'm going to use UNG. La, So what's happening there, and you heard a little bit of distortion already kicking in, is that my voice, my trachea, my larynx, everything is starting to contort and hold back air pressure just ever so slightly. Even by becoming nasal, like this, it's creating a smaller space for my voice to go through, thereby creating some compression. So your voice is taking airflow that would otherwise be seeking release out of the face, always seeking release anyway, it's not going to come out your ears, but you follow along, shut up. If we have air pressure seeking release, that's the key term here, we're going to be holding back that pressure and trying to hold it in. So if it's kind of becoming pillowed and cushioned and held back into the head. So if I go, and I start to become mindful again of this spring, there you hear my false chords, there you hear upper palate and false chord, but it's just coming from me pushing my voice backwards. But again, this is not just singing. This is not going like this. We need a little bit more of a spring-loaded, a little bit more of a holding back, a little bit more of an engagement on a muscular level. And if you are going to just try to find this without that engagement, I'm just going to say all the things I can here. We can still find it from placement by just keeping the head down a little bit more and using that placement. Again, if I go, I'm using UNG and then slowly trying to kind of moving it back slowly to but you can tell it's sitting back in my head. So some of it can be found just by dropping the head, pulling yourself in like this, pulling yourself into the body, which is, again, creating some kind of a smaller channel of air that's coming up through the head. So hopefully that's making some sense. Hopefully you've kind of experimented with this a little bit more. Let's take one more run at the holding back breath thing. I want you to give yourself a forcible exhale with an H, which I might have already mentioned. Ha, ha, ha. And then I want you to be mindful of that breath that you're holding back again and clearing the throat. All these goofy things at the same time. We're going to try to use this together by going ha, ha, ha. Again, I'm taking a valve and lightly ha, 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 ha. If you need to bring faces into this and contort your face, that's fine for right now. Ha, ha, ha. But I need just enough air to connect. Now, we're going to use some mimicry here, along with what we were just doing. First, we're going to be mimicking a lawnmower or a weed whacker. It's going to get weird, so just everybody follow along, okay? A weed whacker here in America is something we use to cut down weeds. It sounds like this. Like that. Isn't that awesome? You're using an E vowel. E tends to help you kick in some of these sounds. So we're going to be using E. If you take E and you start holding it back, E, like this, I'm already getting some distortion from that. But let's just take it, again, start driving it to the most annoying place possible, the most bratty, bitchy E that you can possibly produce. E. If I was going knee like this, I'm getting vocal distortion. Again, that's my false chords. Knee. If I go higher, knee, knee. And there I'm just doing some other things, but I'm still getting different types of vocal distortion. When people mimic an old person, or an old man in this case, because it's funnier, a lot of times they will be a little bit more whispery, and they will be using versions of compression to get that sound. I told Margaret that I was going to take these damn peaches, and I was going to buy them, and she told, push the cart, damn it. So we have, which is, again, just me holding back airflow. But if we kind of get into this space where we're whispering, and then we start cutting that back. It started to sound like Robert F. Kennedy, or the guy recently that was running for president. And I'm starting to hold back breath, and I'm trying to control it like this. Hi. Now, if you're doing these things, and you're starting to get scratchy throat, or you're starting to get irritation and things like that, I want you to know that that's a normal part of trying to find these things. And it's an important part of the distinction of trying to recognize throughout your career, your singing, whatever the hell, when you're dipping into the red and you're in an unhealthy place. You're going to have to go there to find out what it feels like to go there and be like, I shouldn't be here anymore. And then you're going to find this meter of, I was going a little too heavy, going a little too hard, going a little bit too breathy, etc. Now I need to reel it back to something better. Again, that could be more compression, that could be less airflow or whatever, but we're always trying to get into that balance and recognize what's working and what's not, and what's healthy and what's not. Now, when it comes to support and volume, I was saying we want to support this. You might find when you're doing this stuff that you feel like you're jumping to another mode. Yeah. You can tell there I'm kind of doing some pretty different things between regular's chest voice and jumping into this other coordination. So you might feel like you're doing that as well. And that might carry on through a lot of your career. We want to try to create more of a seamless integration so that it's not two different things. But again, give yourself time with this. And support and volume. So volume, in terms of distortion, is usually a little bit quieter. Depends on how heavy you're jumping into that other coordination, but you're putting things in the way of the vocal cords. So if I go, you're hearing my vocal cords create a nice, consistent tone, and then you're hearing something over top of that. So I'm pushing through, technically, two thresholds, two walls, and I'm setting up that wall, and like I said, I'm pushing through it. This is another important thing to think of in your mind. Like this. So you're hearing me have to push through two different things, thereby making the voice dampened or making it smaller or making it quieter. So know that distortion is never your chest voice with just a shitload more volume added, or support in this case. It is, again, a matter of setting up a threshold and a wall, etc. Now I'm going to take you through three different thresholds that we can try to experiment with here: upper palate distortion, false chord distortion, and vocal cord fry distortion as well. If we use and we're as nasal and bitchy as possible, that'll help us to pull up into the nasal space, the pharyngeal space, soft palate, and get more of an upper palate distortion, which is technically more desirable. If we use false chords, we get into Metallica, later Metallica, yeah, yeah, and throat, what you would mostly hear from throat singing, kind of things like that. And then the bottom, which you're going to hear in most screams and the old man, all that kind of stuff. Margaret, tell Jonathan to come downstairs. Ooh. So we have that down here. So use first. Again, we're going to be applying the same thing, technique, clearing throat, etc. But I'm going to use So if I'm, again, taking it from just chest voice, I might not be getting it. It's more of a holding back breath than it is like this. If you need to contort the face again, that might help. But we have is vocal false chord. Helps me to kick those in. Could be E too. I find this to help me think about it more from the side walls. Because it's not coming this way. It's coming this way. Same with the vocal cords. And then at the deepest part of a yawn. I'm not even really yawning there that much, but that's my vocal cords themselves. And notice how I'm more careful with that, because those are my vocal folds. I don't want to just go and go heavy to it. So there you heard me quietly using almost the same amount of airflow move through all those spaces and back. Now, when it comes to moving this around and using this, again, if I go from the top of my range to the bottom of the bottom of the top, like this, there's a lot going on there. There's opening the throat, there's lowering the larynx, there's elongating the vocal tract, there's, just a lot of things that you should probably look up, mixed voice, to try to make sense of all that. At first, again, I'm just trying to help you find some of these funny little sounds. But then you have to put in a lot of practice to kind of get these things to work with you and to open up and to move and to shift and all that. So don't be too hard on yourself here. Give yourself some time. Like I said, if you're getting to a scratchy place or whatever, or it hurts, God knows that is not what we're after. Your voice should pretty much be similar to when you started, but you're going to have to dip into some of these areas to kind of build up that resiliency and that knowledge of like, okay, that's not good. And not to mention, when you do it more in your own head and you do it more in your own voice, you're going to start hearing other people and be like, I can tell the way that they're doing this right now, and you can put some more of those pieces together. So I hope some of this helped you. I know this stuff can be frustrating, but again, give yourself time, be gentle with yourself. And experiment. Know that it's not going to just be the perfect voice thing that you think you created, then adding distortion. It might be the perfect voice, blah, 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 and then this goofy, fucking weird thing, and then adding some, trying to seamlessly integrate that in. But again, they might be very separate at first. But keep working at it. I will see you soon. I hope this helped again, and other things that are helpful. Okay, bye.